Good evening, everyone, and welcome here to the Friar for the third of 4 games in this Corndogs homestand. Tonight's opponent, the Statesville Owls, who are 1 win away from clinching the regular season in the SCBL, and more importantly, that #1 seed in this weekend's playoffs. Meanwhile, for the Corndogs, they come in at 20-13 on the season, and even 12-12 in conference play, and look to get on a little bit of a winning streak here after picking up a 4-2 win over the Regulators Baseball Club right here last night. Harrison Wilson, number 25, will be starting on the bump for the Corndogs. And if you can notice from the picture, it's jersey night here at the Friar. About half the players on the team are sporting some unique threads, getting in the spirit and hoping to take down the Giants right now in the SCBL. Statesville took 2 games and a doubleheader about a week ago versus this team here for the Corndogs. The Owls dominated that series, winning one game 6-4 and the next 15-6. As the Owls will start off on offense first with their leadoff man, number 26, Isaiah Williams-Rem. For the Corndogs, they've got Cannon Pierce starting at third, Nathan Sammy at short, Miller St. John at second, and Will Budnick at first. Harrison Boothallette is behind the dish, and the first pitch of this game will be popped out over towards Nathan Sammy, and he'll get the first out of the contest. That was easy, as number 22, Garrett Ladalek, will follow up Williams-Rem. And we'll get to the outfield now with left fielder Adam Quintero, center fielder Caleb Singleton, and then in right, it's Dylan Lewis. Corndogs, as we mentioned, coming off a 4-2 victory last night, have split this home series so far, trying to build some momentum before playoff season. Realistically, seems like a bit of fate that the Corndogs are locked into virtually this 4 seed. Just have to finish the job to avoid falling to 5, as a quick 0-2 count on Garrett Ladalek. Harrison Wilson getting the start tonight. Made his last start against this very Statesville team in game 1 of that doubleheader way back then. And for the second straight at batter, it looks like he will force a pop fly that will get tracked down by number 55, Will Budnick. One of the few Corndogs wearing the actual Corndog jersey tonight. So 2 down here. Looking pretty easy so far for Harrison Wilson, who in that start against Statesville only allowed 1 run on 3 hits. Wouldn't change the outcome of the game, though, and that doubleheader versus Statesville was on July 11th, so just over a week ago. As with 2 down, it's going to bring up number 28 in Canada, who gets under that one, but won't go far enough. And a quick 1-2-3 inning for Harrison Wilson and the Dogs as they get 3 flyouts to send us to the bottom of the first inning. An easy top of the first for the Corndogs. Sends us to the bottom half of the frame with Dave Mossery leading off for the second night in a row, sporting the Magic Johnson jersey on this jersey night. Getting his first look at the pitcher, J.D. Bassinger. And that'll be a high ball one for the first pitch of Bassinger's night. Bassinger, a sophomore from Woodleaf, North Carolina, getting his first look of the day at a Corndogs batter and gets ahead 2-0 in the count on Dave Mossery. Meanwhile, Mossery, as we mentioned, leading off once again, went 1 of 4 in that game last night. Corndogs as a whole didn't have the offense flowing like they normally do. Only 5 hits versus the regulators, and in the game against Concord the night before, they only had 6 hits. So the homestand starting off with some suspect hitting, trying to turn that around as they face the leading team in the SCBL, and Dave Mossery will get a 4-pitch walk to start things off. The Williams product makes his way to first base and sends up the typical leadoff man, now batting in the 2-hole tonight, number 34, Wilson Lohr. Lohr wearing the Olajuwon jersey tonight. Trying to capture some of Hakeem's winning ways. And with Mossery over at first, that will be a foul ball, barehanded in the dugout. Can't see that on the broadcast, but a fantastic play made right there by number 1. That's Alec Yount. Not in the game, but still putting together a little highlight reel right there as it's an 0-1 count now after the foul ball from Wilson Lohr. Mossery is taking a generous lead at first. Worth noting that he is the 5th leading base stealer on the Corndogs, has 8 thefts on the season, and that's going to be a ball on the second pitch, 1-1 count for Bassinger. Meanwhile, we have Wilson Lohr, after an 0-1 night with a strikeout against the regulators, was put in as a pinch hitter, and he'll hit this one, but the question is, will it be caught? And that is what's going to happen. C.P. Pyle will handle it in the outfield, and Dave Mossery will return back to first in time as the first out of the inning is recorded for the Owls. Dylan Lewis steps up to the plate now for his first at-bat of the night, with 1 down and Mossery still on first. Lewis went 1 of 3 and was the hero of last night's game against the regulators in a 2-2 deadlock late in the 8th inning. Dylan Lewis was the man who was able to give a 2 RBI double to the Corndogs and give them what would ultimately be the game-clinching lead, 4-2. Dylan Lewis has been one of the most consistent contributors for the Corndogs this entire season. Now batting in the 3-hole tonight. He'll get a 1-0 count. That becomes 1-1 on that 73-mile-per-hour pitch right down the middle from Bassinger, who is a 5'11", 150-pounder from Catawba College. Has made 3 appearances so far in the season with only 4 innings under his belt. And being given the spot start tonight against the Corndogs, and despite the lack of hitting prowess that we've seen in recent games, this Corndogs team feels like it's had a lot of untapped potential in those contests. As the 1-1 pitch is in and fouled back, Mossery was going to race over to second, but he'll have to head on back. And that will bring up a 1-2 count on Dylan Lewis. Lewis is one of 4 Corndogs that is tied for the second most hits on the team. Him, Budnick, Lohr, and Tyler Cotto all have 26 knocks on the season. And with Mossery over at first, once again taking a big lead, the pickoff attempt will be there, but the throw to J.D. James on the bag is not in time, and another reset here with 1 down. This pitch will be up and high for ball number 2, which evens up the count for Dylan Lewis, who went 1 of 3 in game 1 between these squads on July 11th. Had an RBI single in that one, as well as a stolen base. Didn't play in game 2. As the 2-2 pitch is in and ripped over to the third baseman, Barnett. The double play won't be there as the throw was a little bit off for Jack Weaver, but Masri will be retired for the second out of the inning, and the leadoff runner will return back to the Corndogs dugout with Dylan Lewis on the fielder's choice.
Now batting the catcher, number 24, Harrison.
So 2 down, 1 on. Passenger trying to keep this thing scoreless as we head into the second inning, and he'll have to face the best hitter on the Corndogs in the stats eyes at least, Harrison Bouthillette. Looking nice in the all-white Ken Griffey get up tonight, but that ball is going to get up a little bit too much and not far enough as J.D. James gloves it for the third out of the inning. Corndogs can't take advantage of the base runner, and that will bring us to the second inning, tied at 0. Harrison Wilson returns to the bump after a quick first inning, went 3 up, 3 down against his Owls lineup. Statesville trying to change their fortunes here in the second, and we'll start off with number 9, Sion Barnett. Harrison Wilson, now in his 13th inning of the season, has the best ERA among all eligible Corndogs pitchers with a 1.5 mark on the season. And that pitch is going to be low for ball number 1 to start things off here in the frame against Sion Barnett, junior from Eskren College. Righty making his 21st appearance of the season, getting his first look of the day against Harrison Wilson. He'll check on that one, though, and keep the count moving up in his favor. 2-0 now on the righty from Honea Path, South Carolina. Harrison Wilson, we mentioned earlier that he started Statesville in game 1 of a doubleheader and had only 1 earned run on 3 hits in those 3 innings of work, along with 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. And that one's going to be a hit, the first of the night for the Owls, as it lasers past the glove of Miller St. John and gives the Owls a base runner for the first time in this contest.
Now batting first baseman, number 99, J.D. James.
That sends up number 99, J.D. James, the first baseman from Caldwell Community College, now in his 15th game of the season. Has a runner on first, and not just any runner. It's important to note that Sion Barnett is a speedster with a team-high 12 stolen bases on the season for this Owls squad. Harrison Wilson definitely has to be cognizant about that. Harrison Wilson also got a short stint of an appearance versus the Disco Turkeys last Thursday, as that pitch is fouled up and over opposite side for a 1-1 pitch coming up. Wilson pitched 1 inning with 1 strikeout, no hits allowed against the Disco Turkeys. Only 12 innings on the season. Throws with a ton of heat behind the bump, and that's a big reason why he's able to not pitch so much, as that pitch will be hit for the second consecutive at-bat. J.D. James with a single to advance Barnett over to second and put 2 on with no outs for the designated hitter, number 6, Drew Parks. After a easy-peasy first inning for Harrison Wilson, a little bit of trouble in the top of the second. Looking back at second at Barnett, who has 12 steals on the year, as we said, and that pitch will nearly hit Drew Park in the face, as a 1-0 count now on the righty designated hitter from Caldwell Community College, along with J.D. James. Caldwell CC, well represented on the base path right now for the Owls. It's Harrison Wilson trying to battle himself back in this inning, and the pickoff attempt at second is almost there, but the glove of Miller St. John not in time, as Barnett was able to get back right before the tag was applied, and now a 1-0 count once again for Parks. And that one will be inside for ball number 2. Harrison Wilson, after handling these Owls with ease in his 3 innings on the doubleheader of Game 1, has ran into a bit of a roadblock here with 2 runners on, still no outs, and a 2-0 count. Owls on the verge of potentially loading the bases here. Park takes this pitch, and once again that will be high and inside. So the count 3-0 for Drew Park, who's a 6'1", 200-pounder from Mooresville, North Carolina. Went 2 of 3 in the second game of that doubleheader versus the Corndogs. Looking to replicate that production today. 3-0 in and low. So the bases are loaded for Harrison Wilson, who suddenly finds himself in a pretty big jam right here, and will get a visit from Harrison Bouthelette on the bump, the catcher tonight, Bouthelette. And we'll be right back after this. Oh, we're not even going to leave. It was about as quick of a meeting as you can come to think of. And now, number 36, Kenny Liner, has no outs and the bases loaded. A prime opportunity to strike first for the Owls. Liner bats 172 on the season and has 8 RBIs through 10 games of action. Looking to add on to that today. And starts things off with a high ball for a 1-0 count. Harrison Wilson, strike zone eluding him a bit right now, which is not something we've said much this season. A pitcher with a ton of gas on the bump and is able to really punch it in there. But right now, having some difficulty, as that's going to be another ball for a 2-0 count. Owls showing plenty of patience at the plate. Kenny Liner, a junior from Wake Forest, North Carolina. Playing as a designated hitter tonight, though he actually playing as the catcher tonight, but that one's going to be gloved by St. John. The 4 double play is there, so it's going to be a 4-6-3 double play to get the 2 runners down and put 2 outs on the board for Caleb Gant after Statesville is able to score on the fielder's choice and give themselves the first lead of this game. Still, though, I think if you're Jeff Pluta and this Corndogs sideline, you are much happier giving up 1 run and the potential damage of what could have happened there, especially given that you got the 2 outs. And Harrison Wilson finds the strike zone there on number 28, Caleb Gant. Gant, the 5'11" outfielder from Matthews, North Carolina, takes a big hack at that pitch, and it'll bring up a 0-2 count. Harrison Wilson with a good opportunity to avoid any further damage. Statesville on top 1-0 here in the top of the second with 2 down, and J.D. James at third, and that will be what Harrison Wilson wanted, a strikeout right down the middle swinging as the Corndogs escape with only 1 run allowed despite having the bases loaded with no outs. It was Statesville that drew first blood in the top of the second inning. Now we head to the bottom half of the frame with the Corndogs down 1 and having Nathan Sammy sporting the Larry Bird jersey. At Indiana State, that's a throwback. As the first pitch Sammy will see is high from J.D. Bassinger. Sammy had 3 walks last night and a stolen base against the Regulators and has a 2-0 count here as Bassinger gearing up for his second inning of work. Didn't allow a hit in that first inning. Has walked 1 so far, and the 2-0 pitch is going to be fouled back by Nathan Sammy for a 2-1 toss on the way. Sammy is batting .288 on the season, all the way up to 17 hits after a bit of a slow start to his campaign. Has found the bat as of late and has 4 home runs in the conference season, which is good for tied for second, in the league. But we'll take a looking strike right there to even out the count at 2. Bassinger hunting for his first strikeout of the night, as the 2-2 pitch is dealt in and lined dead center, but it will die and fall into the glove of C.P. Pyle. So Sammy able to make contact, but not enough, as he is the first batter down of the inning for the Owls. That sends up number 55, Will Budnick. Not wearing a unique jersey tonight. All business for Mr. Budnick as he steps up to the plate after an 0-3 performance against the Regulators. Budnick, who bats just under 300 on the season with the second most hits on the Corndogs. Not a typical performance for him as he is unable to get back on base, as the tag will be applied by Bassinger on the ground ball. Picked up by J.D. James, and a quick 2 down here in the bottom of the second.
Now batting, third baseman number 35, Cannon Pierce.
Number 35, Cannon Pierce, gets his first at-bat of the night now with no runners on and 2 down so far. The Corndogs' bats have stayed as cold as they were in the past 2 games here at the Friar. Pierce Similar to the exact last play, grounds it right over to second base, and that will be a 3-up, 3-down inning for Bassinger and the Owls heading into the third inning. Statesville leading 1-0. Two down here between the Owls and the Corndogs. Statesville on top 1-0 as we start the third inning off with the center fielder C.P. Pyle at the dish. Pyle, number 15, has made a couple plays out there in center field tonight. Trying to make some plays at the plate, and will take strike one looking on the off speed from Harrison Wilson, who allowed just his fourth run of the year in that last frame, but gets in a quick 0-2 advantage with C.P. Pyle fouling that one back. Pyle, another one of these guys for the Owls that attends Caldwell Community College, making his 14th appearance of the season tonight, and down in the 0-2 hole. As Wilson locks, loads, fires, and gets the swinging miss out of Pyle for the first out of the inning. Pyle goes down for the 13th time this year and will send up Jack Weaver with the last batter in this order for Statesville. 2 strikeouts now for Harrison Wilson, who entered the game with 20. And that 20 is good for a top 5 mark on the Corndogs despite being 12th in innings pitched. As that one is fouled right back into the stands. We're going to have to call a 4 here, as looks like everybody was able to avoid that one. And now an 0-1 pitch coming up on Jack Weaver, number 3 from Salisbury, North Carolina, just making his 7th start of the season. And with 1 down, trying to start off another scoring inning for the Owls, but takes a reluctant swing at that one, and now is down 0-2 once again against Harrison Wilson, who has seemed to have settled in here as we're midway through the third. The Winthrop Eagle winds this one up, deals it in, and gets strike number 3 looking. That's the Harrison Wilson we know. 3 punch-outs on the game, and the top of the order returns with Isaiah Williams-Rem. Jack Weaver now has 10 strikeouts on the season with that one right there, and Williams-Rem, who is 0 for 1 on the night with a flyout. We'll get his second look at Harrison Wilson. The lefty who goes to Wingate University becomes the latest victim of the strike zone for Harrison Wilson, who has not thrown a ball yet this inning. So Wilson will take a quick step off the mound, as he's just 2 strikes away from making quick work of this Obel side. It was a tale of 2 innings for Harrison Wilson. Went 3 up, 3 down in the first, and then had the bases loaded before allowing 1 run in the second. Getting much more of the first inning here in this one as the 0-1 pitch is in, and that will be the first ball of the inning. Had to have happened sometime, perhaps, as now a 1-1 count is on the way. Isaiah Williams-Rem making his 16th start of the season, a .292 hitter. Went 1 of 4 against Queen City with an RBI, and that will be an out into the glove of Adam Quintero. Williams-Rem lines out for the second time tonight, and Harrison Wilson, behind 2 strikeouts, brings us to the bottom of the 4th. As we start the bottom of the 3rd inning, it's going to be the bottom of the order for the Corndogs. Get their first look at J.D. Bassinger, Adam Quintero, then Caleb Singleton and Miller St. John. Before we head back to the top of the order, Quintero just made the play in left field for the final out of the top of the 3rd. Stepping into the batter's box now and looking that one off for ball number 1. Quintero finally had his signature moment last night for the Corndogs. The Region 10 Junior College Player of the Year hit his first home run of the SCBL season against the Regulators, but hits this one straight up, and it will be handled by Sion Barnett at 3rd. 1 down for Bassinger, and bringing up Caleb Singleton for his first look at the night.
Now with the way for the Dogs, center fielder number 4, Caleb Singleton.
Singleton went 0 of 3 in that game on Monday versus Concord. Didn't get action last night until he was inserted on the base path as a pinch runner. And all he did was go from first to home off of 1 outfield hit to give the Corndogs their 4th and ultimately final run to secure them that 2-tally victory against the Regulators. Back in the order tonight, and after fouling that one off, we'll face an 0-1 pitch from Bassinger, who deals it in and high for ball number 1. Bassinger, we mentioned that he hasn't thrown a lot of innings so far this season. 4.1, hasn't allowed a hit in those 4.1 innings though. Has 5 earned runs, and that's going to bring up a 2-1 count now. And at this current pace, Bassinger hasn't allowed a hit tonight as well. The only base runner that's gotten on has been Dave Mosry on a walk and Dylan Lewis on a fielder's choice. Singleton looking to change that as he grounds it over to Weaver and gets there in time. The speed from Caleb Singleton gives him the infield single and the first hit of the night off of J.D. Bassinger. So now Miller St. John wraps up the order for the Corndogs, sporting a retro jersey of sorts. It's the retro Jazz jersey, but it's when they brought it back for the recent years. Jonathan Mitchell, number 45. And that's the number that St. John is wearing tonight as he takes this pitch inside for ball number 1. Singleton obviously a threat, given that speed we just saw on the base path for stealing a base. Has a team best 13 thefts on the year, but opts not to go on that strike down the middle, so make it a 1-1 count on Miller St. John. As the pickoff attempt to J.D. James at first is not going to be there. Singleton scurries back in the nick of time. And back at the plate, Miller St. John was arguably the most productive corn dog last night. In fact, he was the only corn dog with multiple hits, as Singleton is going to go this time and will slide in, and the ball will be dropped. Number 3, Jack Weaver, just couldn't hang on to that one, as looked like he might have had a chance, but instead, Caleb Singleton takes the team lead for stolen bases with 14 on the year and puts the first runner of the night in scoring position for the Dogs. Meanwhile, back at the plate, it's a 2-1 mark on Miller St. John, with Bassinger surveying the situation, dealing this one in, and it's going to be high for a 3-1 mark. St. John had a double and a single in that game against the Regulators. Now up to 11 hits on the season, batting .256, and evening the count at 2 here with that foul ball back into the fans. 1 down for Bassinger with a runner on second and a 2-2 count. Trying to protect this Owls 1-run lead as we approach the bottom of the third inning. Singleton baiting and will not have to walk, as instead Miller St. John gets walked. The second of the night from Bassinger, the 10th of the season. And Dave Mossery returns. Mossery was the first batter that Bassinger walked, and will have an opportunity now with 2 runners on and only 1 out to make a bit of an impact in this game. And that is exactly what he almost did, but Singleton is going to run to third and will get there in time on the tag up. Very few runners on the Corndogs would even dare do that, but Caleb Singleton, it's just all in a day's work. So now runners on the corners with 2 down on the fly out from Mossery, and Wilson Lohr has a chance to tie this game at 1 with Singleton over at third.
34, Wilson Lohr.
Wilson Lohr has cooled off a little bit in recent games. Went 0 of 1 versus the Regulators with a strikeout last night after going 1 for 4 in the night before. Still batting a whopping .382 on the season, and a hit here would be just what the Corndogs need, and that's just what they get. Caleb Singleton will run on home. Miller St. John will scurry to third, and the RBI single from Wilson Lohr puts the Corndogs on the board and ties this game up at 1.
Number 8, Dylan Lewis.
Dylan Lewis steps up now in the same exact situation as Wilson Lohr. 2 outs, runners on the corners once again, as Bassinger allows his 6th run of the season, to level this game at 1. Dylan Lewis flew out in his first at-bat. Actually, never mind. Sorry. He had a ground out in his first at-bat on a fielder's choice, as the ball will be thrown there on the first pitch. 1-0 count with Wilson Lohr over at first, St. John at third. Wilson Lohr, up until a moment ago, had the team lead for stolen bases, as that one is unable to get in the gap, and the line out from Dylan Lewis will end this inning with no further damage done. But the Corndogs are able to level this game at 1 on an RBI single from Wilson Lohr. Top of the 4th coming right up. We've reached the fourth inning here, and after 3, knotted at 1-1, Wilson Lohr with the RBI single in the last frame gave the Corndogs that tie. After the Owls took a 1-0 lead in the second, and now they return to bat. An important game for both teams. The Corndogs trying to cement themselves as the 4 seed before the playoffs start. Meanwhile, the Owls were virtually able to clinch last night against the Spinners, lost 7-6 in extra innings. Not only looking for a bounce back tonight, but a win tonight would virtually and would require sort of a miracle for them not to be in the number 1 seed. Have a game against the Regulators later in the week, and then this one before their regular season is over. As the 0-2 count on Ladalek is in there and chased out of the zone. Harrison Wilson records his 4th strikeout of the night, really settling into this game and putting 1 out on the scoreboard for the Corndogs.
Extra hitter number 28, Aiden Canada.
So now number 20, Aiden Canada, gets his 2nd at-bat of the night, and we were mentioning this 7-6 loss to the Spinners last night. Didn't secure the Owls. Didn't do them any help, I should say, but have a chance to clinch the 1 seed tonight with a win. As with 1 down, no runners on, the lefty will take that right down the middle at 82 miles per hour. Harrison Wilson looking like he is in a zone right now going against Canada. Batting in the 3-hole is Canada, and ripping that one opposite side for a foul ball. 0-2 count once again. And can't overstate how much of a turnaround this was from the second inning for Harrison Wilson. Has an 0-2 count once again, and a chance to record his 5th strikeout of the night here against Canada. The pitch is going to be in and not ruled a strike. Canada didn't swing on that 74 mile per hour off speed, and the lefty from Wake Tech Community College trying to break this hot streak for Harrison Wilson, who tosses in the 1-2 pitch and will look it off to even up the count. Canada from Fuquay Varina, North Carolina, went 1 of 3 against the Corndogs in game 1 of their doubleheader on the 11th, and that one hit was a solo home run, as that one is fouled back to keep the count at 2, ringing off the poles that hold up the netting here in Charlotte Ladin. So, count remains 2-2 for Canada. Who is coming off a 2-4 game against Mooresville, but he'll rip that one right over to St. John, and wearing the Donovan Mitchell jersey, able to scoop that one up and get the 2nd out of the inning for the Corndogs. 2 down and 2 at-bats, as Harrison Wilson putting in work right now for Queen City. Sion Barnett returns to the plate now. His 2nd go-around, and was able to get on base last time out. A .219 batter in 20 games is Barnett. Already alluded to his speed as he leads this team in steals. So dangerous guy to put on the plate, on the bases, excuse me. And Wilson trying to finish the job right here. 0-1 on Barnett with no runners on and 2 down. As the 0-1 pitch becomes an 0-2 count. Painting the bottom right corner is Harrison Wilson, and once again, for the 3rd straight at-bat, an Owl is down 0-2 in the count. Harrison Wilson has really got it ahead of these guys and a chance to finish the job here, and that's exactly what he does. 91 miles per hour to catch Barnett swinging. 5 strikeouts now for Harrison Wilson, and another 3 up, 3 down inning as we head to the bottom of the 4th. Bottom of the fourth inning and a pitching change. It's the first of the night for either side. J.D. Bassinger's evening is done after allowing 1 hit and walking 2 while striking out none. Gave up the 1 run in 3 innings of work. And the new pitcher in the game is number 14, Josh Allen. And a tough first assignment for Allen, who's only pitched 1/3 of an inning so far in 1 game this season. Going against Harrison Bouthillette, but taking advantage of the lack of scouting early as Bouthillette is 0-2 in the count against Josh Allen, who has 1 strikeout, no walks, and that one's going to be low and away for ball number 1. Harrison Bouthillette leading things off this inning and getting in a 2-2 count now after falling behind 0-2. Bouthillette was the player of the week in Week 5 of the SCBL. And that doesn't even include his fantastic game against the Disco Turkeys with 2 home runs. And Bouthellette's able to keep himself alive here with that foul ball. Josh Allen, we mentioned not a lot of experience with the Owls so far this summer. But what we do know is he's a big presence on the mound at 6'3", 215, and that is a moon ball from Harrison Bouthillette, but just not far enough as it's handled by Caleb Gant in right center field for the first out of the inning.
Stepping into the box, shortstop number 33, Nathan Sammy.
Nathan Sammy gets his second at-bat of the night and first against Josh Allen after going out into the outfield with a fly out in his first at-bat. These teams, mentioned it, just played over a week ago. Owls winning both games of a doubleheader at their home field in Statesville at West Iredell High School. Currently lead the season series 3-1 versus these Corndogs here at home, and a 1-0 count is fouled by Nathan Sammy for a 1-1 mark. But in those 2 games, the Corndogs offense wasn't necessarily to blame. They hit .316 with 4 doubles and 3 home runs over those roughly 14 innings against the Owls on the 11th. Just gave up 21 as a defense. Here, a low-scoring game so far. That's 1-1, and Sammy rips that one into left field, but it will just draw a foul for strike number 2. Sammy returns to the plate and we'll pick things back up with the 1-2 count, 1 out. So far, the Corndogs have yet to strike out on this game, but yet have only recorded 2 hits in the process. As the 1-2 pitch is going to be that first strikeout, Josh Allen catches Nathan Sammy chasing out of the zone, and the first K of the night will give 2 outs on the board for the Owls.
Now batting, first baseman number 55, Will Budnick.
Will Budnick now gets another shot at things after grounding out his first time up. Budnick, one of 3 Corndogs, tied for 3rd in hits on the season, and with 2 outs, no on, he'll watch that ball sail outside of the zone for ball number 1. In those 2 games against the Owls, the Corndogs only struck out 11 times, but also only walked 5 times in 14 innings, as Queen City has had some difficulty getting walked. Used to be a roughly 8 walk-a-game team, now all the way down to 5 as we approach the playoffs. And a 2-0 count is going to be boomed into the outfield, and that is a steal. Oh my goodness, what a catch against the warning track. Caleb Gant robs Will Budnick of his 2nd home run of the season. Already hit one against the Owls earlier, and the lefty comes up just short as we reach the top of the 5th. Fifth inning here between the Corndogs and the Owls. I'm Jonah Weintraub. Happy to be bringing you tonight's game. Deadlocked at 1, and a new pitcher in the game for your Queen City Corndogs. It's going to be number 14, Will Hansen. Well, not number 14. Usually they're wearing number 14, but sporting his own Savannah Bananas jersey tonight. A team we've been confused with on more than one occasion. As the first pitch he throws is a ball to J.D. James. Second gets fouled off, opposite side. And we'll bring up a 1-1 count. Tonight's starting pitcher, Harrison Wilson, finishes with a superb 4 innings of work, striking out 5 Owls in the process and only allowing the 1 earned run. Hands the baton off to Will Hansen, who is a frequent pitcher for this Corndog squad, and gets another foul out of J.D. James for a 1-2 toss on the way. J.D. James at the plate was able to get on his first at-bat and was stranded at third. And now faces a 1-2 count, which he rips into right field. A single for J.D. James on a line drive into right center field. So now 1 on for the Statesville side, with the next batter up to bat is number 6, Drew Parks.
Designated hitter number 6, Drew Parks.
So no outs, 1 runner on, and number 14, Will Hansen, making his 26th inning of work on the season, has seen a lot of action. Enters with a 7.56 ERA and gets a swing out of Parks right there for strike number 1. Hansen didn't have his best stuff against the Disco Turkeys when they played on Thursday. That was his last appearance. Pitched 1 inning and allowed 5 earned runs off of 7 hits. Trying to find the juice tonight, and gets in an 0-2 count against Drew Parks, who was 2 of 3 the last time these teams met in Game 2 of a doubleheader. Parks is a .316 batter on the season. That's in 12 games now of work, as he will not bite on that low ball. So a 1-2 count now for Will Hansen. A Charlottean who is 3rd on the Corndogs in both innings pitched and total pitches. Jeff Pluta's been using his arm a ton this summer. The freshman from the Catholic University of America. And Hansen will throw that one inside to level the count at 2. James is over there at first, has stolen 4 bases on the year in 14 games. He's a big guy at 6'3", 220, but don't underestimate the speed. Has a 2-2 pitch is wound up, dealt in, and ripped into right center field. But it will be, it's going to drop right in front of Dylan Lewis and Caleb Singleton, as Hansen allows back-to-back base hits to put 2 on with no down for the catcher, number 36, Kenny Liner.
Catcher number 36, Kenny Liner.
Liner, starting behind the dish tonight for the Owls, is one of a 2-man rotation they roll out there at catcher along with Caden Howell. Liner is a 6'3", 205-pounder who goes to Western Carolina University. Has 2 runners on with no outs, and will swing at the first pitch he sees and fouls it right back towards his own teammate over there. It was Caleb Gant, who's getting some practice swings in by the dugout of the Owls. So 0-1 count now for Will Hansen, who has the 3rd most strikeouts out of any Corndog, while only allowing 6 walks on the season. The best ratio on the Queen City side in terms of punch-outs to walks, as the 0-1 pitch is low and away for strike ball number 1. We mentioned that the pitching was an issue the last time these two teams played for the Corndogs. They allowed 21 runs in 14 innings and walked 5 more batters than those that they struck out. Not a recipe for success, no matter how many runs you put up. And in a defensive game tonight, Every run looks like it's going to matter. But right there, that pitch sails inside for ball number 2. Will Hansen, really, really friendly with the strike zone. We mentioned that he's third on the team in strikeouts, but another big aspect of that is that he has allowed the most hits out of any corn dog, and it's not relatively close. So he's a guy that's either going to strike out or put the ball in play. As J.D. James taking a lead over at second, and will have to return on that foul ball. Liner rips it left for a 2-2 toss on the way. Will Hansen looking for his first strikeout of the night, and a little bit of a cushion as he still has no outs here in the top of the 5th. Hansen settles in, looks back, dishes this one in, and gets the swinging miss out of Kenny Liner. That's just what Will Hansen needed to see as he strikes out his 24th batter of the year and gives himself a little bit of breathing room now with 1 down and 2 on, setting the table for number 28, Caleb Gant. And if you weren't with us for the bottom of the 4th, Gant made the marvelous play at the warning track, robbing Will Bundick of a home run. Now getting an opportunity to make plays with the bat as he has 2 runners on and 1 down, and that is exactly what he's able to do. He will advance both of the guys on and load the bases. The second time tonight the Owls have done that, and with 1 down, Will Hansen is officially in a jam.
Now batting center fielder number 15, C.P. Pyle.
C.P. Pyle now steps up to the plate with the bases loaded. You've got J.D. James, Drew Parks, and Caleb Gant on third, second, and first, respectively. Pyle struck out his first at-bat and chases that one into the dirt. J.D. James is going to send it home, and will the tag be there? No, it won't. The ball squeezed out of the hands of Will Hansen, and on the wild pitch, Statesville will put up a second run and take the lead, while both runners on first and second advance. So 2 more in scoring position for the Owls. J.D. James able to get there in time. Looked like there could have been a little bit more urgency from the Corndogs. Maybe not aware that James was actually going to send that, as it wasn't really even back to the stop. It was still on the grass area about. But regardless, it's a 2-1 game now with 2 runners in scoring position and an 0-1 count. That will be 0-2, and actually it's going to be 1-2. The scoreboard hasn't gotten it yet. That wild pitch obviously was a ball. So now Hansen with a 1-2 mark, looking to pick up now his 25th strikeout of the year after putting down Liner earlier, and that's exactly what he does here. Hansen gets 2 down swinging and brings us up number 3, Jack Weaver, the bottom of the order for the Owls. Weaver trying to extend this lead with Parks over at third, Gant at second, and that pitch is going to be inside for ball number 1. Jack Weaver is only 1 of 17 on the season and only has 1 RBI on the season, but he has the potential to add to those numbers here, as the 1-0 pitch is going to be high and inside for ball number 2. Will Hansen hasn't walked a batter this inning, though it's not all been in the strike zone like we're used to with Hansen. Owls looking to continue this hot inning as that one is lined over, and the error at third brings 1 run home. An RBI single as Cannon Pierce couldn't scoop that one up at third, not his natural position, and the Owls extend to a 2-run lead. C.P. Pyle picks up his second RBI of the season and puts runners on the corners for the leadoff man, Isaiah Williams-Rem. Don't know how much of that you put on Will Hansen, as the error was made over at third, and that's been a bit of an issue for the Corndogs. 49 errors in 33 games, and the third base position has been the one with by far the most at hot corner. No easy post amount, but still. As Williams Rem lines that one up and fair for another RBI. Pyle is going to move over to third, and with that, the Owls take a 4-1 lead here in this inning after putting up 3 more in the frame. Number 22, Garrett Ladalek, trying to keep the good times going for the Owls as Pyle makes his way to third. Williams Rem at first. Runners on the corners once again for an Owl batter with 2 down and a fresh count. Ladalek's first look at Will Hansen is going to be a ground ball, and Hansen is going to have to cover, or Budnick will get there back in time and finally end this inning for the Corndogs. But they allow 3 runs, and the Owls take a 4-1 lead into the bottom of the 5th here at the Friar. Queen City gives up 3 runs in the top half of the 5th. How do they respond? That's yet to be seen, but they are facing the third Owl pitcher of the night. Reese Crump, who is normally a catcher, is heading on the bump right now and getting his first set of pitches versus number 35, Cannon Pierce. Pierce fouled that one off for strike number 1, and Crump, a sophomore from Catawba College, looking to protect this lead now. Has played 6 games as a hitter and is 1 of 11 on the season, as Pierce hit that one in the infield and had no chance of getting over to first as he grounds out for the first man down of the inning for the Corndogs. Adam Quintero now follows up Cannon Pierce. And Quintero flew out his first time around and trying to spark a Corndogs comeback as the pitch from Crump is outside for ball number 1. Corndogs have only put up 4 runs over their last 2 games. So far have 1 here as we're midway through the 5th. And Crump deals that one high to elevate the count to 2-0 on Adam Quintero, who enters tonight with a .273 batting average and 6 hits. The 6-footer from Monroe, North Carolina, has a 1-1 count and will foul that back to make it 1-2. Quintero only played game 1 against Statesville in that doubleheader on July 11th. Went 0 of 3 in the contest with a walk. And actually, I stand corrected, he did play both games as he fouls this one back to keep the count alive. Went 1 of 1 in game 2, though he was actually tagged out. Had a surefire single, got a little greedy and got over to second, but not in time. That game was far over, though, as the 2-2 pitch is lined dead for the middle. The ground ball will be scooped up and not in time. Jack Weaver unable to make the play, and the infield single gives Quintero his first hit of the night, and the Corndogs only their 3rd of the contest. Caleb Singleton, who has one of those 3 hits, steps up to bat now. Almost through the second rotation of the Corndogs order, and Singleton, the switch hitter, back in the right batter's box with Quintero over at first, and a strike 1 thrown at 80 miles per hour by Crump. Caleb Singleton batting .228 on the year, leading the team in stolen bases, has 18 hits as well, as the 0-1 pitch is popped into left field and handled by Williams Rem. That one hung in the air a bit, and as a result gives the Corndogs their 2nd out of the inning, with Adam Quintero on first and his former college teammate Miller St. John stepping up to the box. St. John got walked earlier in this one, and this is coming off the heels of his best game, or arguably his best game as a Corndog the other night. And we'll take ball 1 looking. Does St. John, who is a .256 batter on the year, attended Gaston College with Quintero before both of them, after 2 years at JUCO, went their respective ways. And Quintero is going to have an uncontested stolen base right there. Had 16 of them with the Rhinos during his junior college campaign. And now puts himself in scoring position with a 2-0 count and 2 down for Reese Crump. But that one will be fouled back by Miller St. John. 2-1 count now on the righty from Waxhaw, North Carolina. Queen City's offense has been stagnant, to say the least, during this homestand. And that will be strike number 2 looking. Not a sight you want to see if you're a Corndogs faithful heading into playoff season. Every team in the SCBL makes the playoffs, but seeding is important. As the 2-2 pitch is going to go low and bring up a full count now on St. John, who has already been walked once tonight, hoping to make it another right here. Corndogs have only recorded 3 hits so far this afternoon, well, this evening, I guess, as the 3-2 pitch is hit straight down to the ground. A tough one for Weaver to handle, but he does it anyway, as that will put away the Corndogs in the 5th and help the Owls head into the 6th with their 4-1 lead still in place. Well, it's a far cry from the 15-6 win that the Owls had in their last game versus the Corndogs, but Statesville is on top by 3 as we head into the 6th inning, and Will Hansen trying to bounce back from that rough 5th inning. It starts off nicely with a strike, follows that up with an 82-mile-per-hour pitch low for ball number 1. Will Hansen, who has allowed 21 more hits than any corn dog entering tonight, still has a highly respectable 7.56 ERA on the season. But a lot of that depends on him putting the ball in play and having the Corn Dogs defense shore things up. An error in that last inning, and as a result, it looks like Cannon Pierce has been replaced at third by Dave Mosry, who originally started things out as an extra hitter. And that will be a foul ball from the batter number 20. A new sub put in as well. No, never mind, excuse me. That's number 28 in Canada for the third time around. Facing Hansen. Canada, coming off a 2-of-4 performance against Mooresville, rips that one into right field, and that is a goner. Home run from Aiden Canada. Gives him his second of the season, second against the Corn Dogs, and he extends this lead to 4 here in the top of the 6th.
Third baseman number 9, Sion Barnett.
Owls starting to run away with this thing after it was a 1-1 game through 4. Statesville's been on a 4-0 run since, and Sion Barnett has to follow up that solo shot with no runners on and no outs. The Statesville team in the doubleheader on July 11th hit .386 as a team against the Corn Dogs en route to 21 runs over 14 innings. And we've heard many people across the league say that this Statesville team is far and away the best and most talented team with the bats. And it looks no different tonight. Doesn't help that the Corn Dogs have continued their cold ways on offense, and those two coming head-to-head have made for a bit of a disaster here as the Owls have started to pull ahead and pull away in this one. Will Hansen behind 2-0 in the count against number 9, Sion Barnett. Barnett's already gotten on base tonight, looking to continue his productive evening as the 2-0 toss is whiffed on by Barnett. Hansen trying to climb back in the at-bats. Corn Dogs as a team allowed just about 5.5 runs a game, 5.3 to be exact. Already at that mark so far. And that's going to be a ball way inside, forcing Sion Barnett to kind of dodge that at the plate. And a 3-1 count coming up on the righty from Eskren College. Hansen deals this one in and gets the swinging miss out of Barnett. 81 miles per hour and a full count on our hands. Queen City, with their backs against the wall now, how do they respond? Starts off with the man on the bump, Will Hansen, who deals this one in at a full count, and it's grounded over to Nathan Sammy at shortstop. And sporting the Larry Bird jersey, able to dish the assist over to Will Budnick at first and get the first out of the inning. Now number 99, J.D. James, will follow things up here with his third at-bat of the night. Played both games of the doubleheader against the Corn Dogs, did James, and has looked equally productive tonight with a couple of hits. J.D. James was 3 of 3 with an RBI in game 1 between these squads. Followed it up with a 1 of 4 performance in game number 2. The lefty standing with a 1-0 count and lining that one right back to Sammy, who fumbles it and is not going to be able to make the play. Another error in the infield for the Corn Dogs, and that's just the kind of night it's been so far, as kind of embodies this game. You think you have things for most of the play, and then at the last moment, it slips out of your hands. Some big plays in this game made, and a lot of them by the Owls when it matters. A home run robbery earlier that we saw. A home run that we saw. And just more consistent hitting. The Corndogs' offensive slump continues. And the defense trying to shore things up with one runner on, one out, and a fresh count that is going to be lined over to Dave Masri. The 5-4-3 double play is there as Masri gets inserted at third base and makes an immediate impact, bailing out the Corndogs and sending us to the bottom of the sixth with a one-run inning for the Owls on a solo shot from Aiden Canaday. The Corndogs give up one more run in the fifth inning on a solo shot from Aiden Canaday, and now find themselves in a 4-run deficit with top of the order up Masri Lore and Lewis Dew, and a strike one from Reese Crump returning to the bump for his second inning of work. Facing Dave Masri, who is one of one on the night with a walk, and now down 0-2 after that strike. Sporting the Magic Johnson jersey, and right now the Corndogs can use some magic of their own, as that one is fouled back and away to keep the count alive for Masri, who has really been a consistent hitter for this Corndogs lineup all season, has the fourth best average on the team, and looks that one off inside for ball number 1. Masri is also third on the Corndogs in hits, batting .320 with 24 knocks on the season. Finds himself in a 1-2 count here against Crump and hits that one dead center, but just not enough on it, it appears, as CP Pyle makes the play and gets the first out of the inning for the Owls. Corndogs unable to start things off with a hit, as Masri flies out for the second time tonight. And now Wilson Lore, who has just one of the 3 hits on the game for Queen City, returns to the plate. Had a single his last time up. On this beautiful evening here at the Friar, as the sun is setting over left field, and a strike on the first pitch. 82 miles per hour right in there from Reese Crump. Mentioned earlier, listed as a catcher, where he's made most of his appearances on the season, but looking like a natural on the bump so far, only allowing 1 hit through his inning and 1/3 of work, and now in a 1-1 count with Wilson Lore, who is going to look that one off as it Squirts past Kenny Liner behind the dish and elevates the count to 2-1. Wilson Lohr wearing the Hakeem Olajuwon jersey tonight. Big fan of that one. Plenty of lovely jerseys that the Corndogs are sporting on jersey nights. That one might be one of the best as Lohr fouls that one off to keep the count at, well, to move the count to 2-2, excuse me, and keep the at-bat alive. Lohr went 2 of 3 against this this Statesville squad in game 2 of a doubleheader, but strikes out right there. And it's only the second strikeout of the night for the Corndogs, which you would think there would be more considering that only 1 run has been put up so far. But the Corndogs have been making contact with things, just not putting it in play. As with 2 down, no outs, Dylan Lewis takes strike 1 looking. Lewis 0 of 2 on the game with a fielder's choice and a line out. And down quickly 0-2 in the count is Lewis here on that big swing. Number 42 for the Corndogs. Went 1 of 3 with an RBI single against Statesville in game 1. And is able to get this one up, but it will carry into the glove of Caleb Gant and make a 3-up, 3-down inning for Reese Crump and the Owls as the Corndogs slump continues. A new pitcher in the game to start off the seventh for the Corndogs. Connor Bailey replaces Will Hansen after Hansen allowed 3 runs in 2 innings with a pair of strikeouts in the process. And Bailey wearing a different jersey for Jersey night, but it's a different Corndogs jersey. Have to admire the braveness to do such a thing as he faces Kenny Liner in his first at-bat and paints the quarter at 88 miles per hour for strike number 1. Connor Bailey, who has the best ERA out of any corn dog with over 15 innings on the season, taking the bump after he got his first start of the season last week against Concord. 0-1 count. Make it 1-1 as Liner looks that one off outside. Connor Bailey has 15 and 1/3 of an inning of work on the year with a 1.17 ERA. And actually, his start against Concord was his worst performance of the season, and he still didn't allow a run in that one. As another scorching pitch at 89 miles per hour is up high for ball number 2. 2-1 now on Liner. The catcher with a 172 average, leading things off in this inning for the Owls, who are trying to protect a 5-1 lead in the waning moments of this game. Home stretch, and a foul ball off the handle of the bat from Liner will even the count at 2 for Connor Bailey, who we mentioned had his worst start. It was not because of the runs allowed. He pitched 3 innings and only allowed 3 hits and had, only 3 hits in those 4 innings of work against Concord. No runs allowed, but had 7 walks. Was able to get himself out of jams that he built himself, and he said after the game that he'd be a better pitcher if he started every inning with runners on second and third. As the 2-2 pitch is hit over towards Nathan Sammy, scoops it up, deals it, and gets the first out of the inning for the Corndogs. Kenny Liner grounds out. And that will bring up number 28, Caleb Gant.
Right fielder number 28, Caleb Gant.
Connor Bailey has put one away here. And mentioned that he had 7 walks in 4 innings in his last contest, had 3 strikeouts, which is also abnormal for him, a heavy strike zone pitcher. And with the speed that he has on his pitches, you can see why. So with 1 down, that one's going to sail outside for ball number 1. It's Caleb Gant, number 28, the outfielder who made the ridiculous catch over there in right field to rob Will Budnick of a home run. Gant is a .242 hitter on the season himself, as he takes his 1-0 pitch and will tip it back at 90 miles per hour into the glove of Harrison Boothlet, still behind the dish for the Corndogs. No real adjustments have been made on the defensive side by manager Jeff Pluta, apart from putting Cannon Pierce as an extra hitter and replacing him with Dave Mossry at third. And a 1-1 toss on the way from Connor Bailey, who dishes this one in for a swinging strike at 89 miles per hour. The Xavier Musketeer, fresh off an appearance at the College World Series qualifying tournament, his squad was able to knock out number 6 in the nation, Vanderbilt, out of the NCAA tournament before falling to Oregon and not being able to have a chance to advance to Omaha. As that pitch is high for ball number 2. Even 2-2 count now for Bailey. With no runners on, 1 down, Gant will have to wait as Bailey steps off the plate right there. Gant, if he's not going to hit it, he's going to strike out. Has 12 punch-outs on the year to only 1 walk, and that's in 11 games of action. Getting his first look of the night at Bailey, who deals this one in and gets strike number 3, his first punch-out of the game. Puts 2 away for the Corndogs and will send up number 15, CP Pyle. Connor Bailey gets his 22nd strikeout of the SCBL campaign. Doing that in just 15 innings of work. Bailey also has allowed the least hits out of any Corndog. In fact, that last game against the Athletics where he allowed 3 hits, that was the most he's allowed in a game all year. As he starts things off nicely with the strike on the outside part of the zone. Another 90-mile-per-hour pitch in there from the Medina, Ohio native, who is facing CP Pyle, the outfielder, with a .217 average on the year. And that's going to be an outside ball. 1-1 pitch on the way from Bailey. Bailey. Batter's only hitting 133 off of him on the season. Good for second best on the Corndogs. And he was a late addition to this team, as mentioned, with the Musketeers of Xavier while they were trying to get into the College World Series. As a swinging strike right there once again brings the count to 1-2, and Connor Bailey just one pitch away from bringing us to the bottom of the 7th. CP Pyle at the plate has already struck out tonight. Now has 13 punch-outs on the season. Bailey dishes this one in and high for ball number 2 to even the count now. Meanwhile, CP Pyle trying to battle here. Played game 1 versus the Corndogs, going 0 of 2 on July 11th. Trying to get on base here with a 2-2 toss that is going to be just outside for ball number 3. Full count now on Pyle, who is 5'7", 170-pounder from Salisbury, North Carolina. Playing in his 14th game of the season tonight is Pyle. Looking to be the first Owl to get on base this inning. Bailey with the full count, locks, loads, fires, and it's going to be fouled back by Pyle to keep this at-bat alive. Pyle has certainly been battling, to say the least. After Pyle, it's Jack Weaver, number 3, before the top of the order comes back up. Corndogs trying to take advantage of the bottom of the order here. And with a full count once again, Connor Bailey dishes this one in, and that's going to be ball number 4. A great at-bat from CP Pyle. Sees him pick up his 8th, make it 9th walk of the year. Meanwhile, Bailey, who after that 7-walk performance against the Concord Athletics, puts one more up on the board right here and has now 16 on the season with number 3, Jack Weaver, ending off the order in their 3rd rotation around. He has Pyle over there at first, taking a moderate lead, while Connor Bailey starts off the at-bat with that one being flared up into the infield. Will Budnick calls for it, and that will do the job. Connor Bailey strikes out 1 and allows no hits as we head to the bottom of the 7th, with Statesville still on top 5-1.
Okay, I'm done. Here's some Boothelets at the back.
Welcome back for the bottom of the 7th inning, giving you a little notice of our PA guy, Mackie Gallagher, the excellent Mackie Gallagher, putting his own rendition on Sweet Caroline for the new batter up to start things off this inning. Number 24, Harrison Bouthelette, takes strike one looking. Bouthelette 0 for 2 on the night, but changes that here perhaps. No, that one's going to draw a foul down the right field line to make the count 0-2 on the powerful lefty batter from Indian Land, South Carolina. Corndogs don't have a lot of time to make a push at this thing, and if they lose tonight, and if the score holds, it could be a potential fumbling of the number 4 seed. Meanwhile, the Owls just a couple innings away from securing the number 1 spot in the SCBL tournament. Obviously, don't know what that tournament will look like in terms of seeding. Plenty to figure out. And with 6 teams in the league this year, sometimes that varies. The bracket is also up in the air about how they're going to handle that. Typically in past years, it's been a double elimination bracket. But what it looks like this year is yet to be seen, as the 0-2 pitch is a bouncing ball that just seemed to have slipped out of the hand of Reese Crump, making his 3rd inning of work right here for the Owls against Harrison Bouthelette. Bouthelette hit a home run against the Owls in Game 2 of the doubleheader. That was his 4th of the year. And that is going to be a foul ball ripped into the dugout of the Owls. Looks like everybody wound up okay. So once again, the 1-2 mark on Bouthelette, who we're waiting to hear from tonight. And he'll foul it once again. So Bouthelette battling after back-to-back flyouts to start off his night. Booth is been the man for the Corndogs with the most hits, doubles, and RBIs out of any Corndog. And he'll look that pitch off high to even the count at 2. Not a lot of room for error if the Corndogs want to make a push at this thing. And with a 2-2 count, no runners on, starting in the early parts of the innings is what the Corndogs will need, but that won't get the job done as the line will go right over to Jack Weaver at second, and the toss out to J.D. James will put away the first batter of the inning for Crump and the Owls, sending up Nathan Sammy, who is also 0 of 2 on the night.
Shortstop number 33, Nathan Sammy.
Nathan Sammy getting his 3rd at-bat of the night, facing Reese Crump, who has 1 strikeout so far and hasn't needed more to get the job done. The Corndogs have been ice cold, carrying over from the past few games. And with 1 down, no runners on, Sammy takes the 1-0 pitch and hits it opposite side, but it's going to flare high and be handled in the outfield by Caleb Gant. A quick 2 down here for the Corndogs, and that's the last thing they need.
Baseman number 55, Will Budnick.
Will Budnick hoping to be the one to break the seal for the Corndogs. He himself is 0 of 2 on tonight with a ground out and a fly out. Though that fly out was nearly a home run. It's worth mentioning that Will Budnick has had a couple home runs that have been absolute close calls. He finally got his first in Game 1 against the Owls in that doubleheader earlier last week, but he's had the potential for multiple that have drawn just foul or gotten robbed. But this one isn't going to have a chance as it goes straight up into the infield and will be gloved by J.D. James. Another 3-up, 3-down inning for the Owls, and Reese Crump propels Statesville to the 8th inning on top 5-1. Top of the 8th inning, and the Owls have been firmly in control throughout this entire contest, really, as they take a 5-1 lead into the final stretch of this one. And the top of the order for Statesville starting things off here with Isaiah Williams-Rem, the leadoff man, getting his first look at Connor Bailey of the night. And that's going to be a high ball on the first pitch from Bailey, who struck out one, didn't allow a hit, and walked one in the top of the 7th. Now trying to keep the Corndogs within striking distance, as any more runs would surely give the Owls a chance to put this one away. And a nice start for the Owls as the hit is recorded by Isaiah Williams-Rem. A line drive into center field, and he's able to pick up the hit. A .292 batter is Williams-Rem, and now that he's on the base path, worth noting that he also has 8 steals on the season, among the leaders on the Statesville squad. So with Williams-Rem on first, number 22, Garrett Ladalek, will step back up to the plate. Bailey taking his time and deals this one in, which will be fouled back. Another high-velocity pitch, 86 miles per hour from Connor Bailey. That's really his bread and butter. As the senior righty gearing up for the final set of pitches in this contest, as Ladalek is going to foul that one back once again. So an 0-2 count now on Ladalek, a junior who goes to Bluefield State College. 6'1", 200-pounder. Has a team-high 18 strikeouts on the season and is facing an 0-2 count here against one of the Corndogs' most talented pitchers. We'll see if he's able to fight his way out of it. And for the time being, he'll keep clawing in the at-bat as it's 0-2 once again for Ladalek. There's also been a change on the defense. Luke Harris has been substituted into left field for Adam Quintero. Everyone else has stayed the same. As an 0-2 pitch on the way from Connor Bailey, who likes what he sees, dishes this one in, and that is going to be hit dead center, but not far enough, as it will be handled by Caleb Singleton for the first out of the inning.
Extra hitter number 20, Aiden Kennedy.
Aiden Kennedy makes his way to the batter's box after he put the 5th run on the board for the Owls, hit a solo shot home run into right field here at the Friar. His 2nd home run against the Corndogs this season. But he won't go on that first pitch from Bailey. 1-0 count on Kennedy. The infielder from Wake Tech Community College. Big 6'2", 220-pound lefty, making his 14th appearance of the season. Coming off a 2-4 performance against Mooresville, and has Williams-Rem over at first. Bailey throws that one high for ball number 2. As the batter's count, not one you want to have against a batter that is as hot as Aiden Kennedy. Has the solo shot tonight to potentially be the cherry on top. And with a 2-0 mark, this pitch is going to be dealt in and fouled opposite side for ball number 1. That one actually looked like it might have squeezed through some of the netting here. And we'll return back to the actual field with a 2-1 mark. Williams-Rem, despite the 8 stolen bases on the season, not taking a huge lead over there at first. Kennedy. 2-1 pitch. He is going to sit pretty at 73 miles per hour. An off-speed toss from Connor Bailey evens the count at 2 and gives him a little bit of momentum now. 1 down, and the Corndogs themselves are only down to 6 outs. As the 2-2 pitch is ripped into left center, and that is going to drop in front of Caleb Singleton. Williams Rem will stay at second. And now 2 on with 1 down on the 2-strike single from Aiden Canaday. That prompts a visit from Harrison Bouthillette to Connor Bailey. Going to go over some things as they gear up to face number 9, Sion Barnett. Barnett coming off a 1-of-4 performance against Mooresville, where he hit the lone extra base hit of that game for the Owls, one that they lost in extra innings 7-6. Wasn't his fault, though, as he hit a double and had 2 stolen bases in the process. Now has 2 base runners and a fresh count that moves to 0-1 after a pitch that hits the outside part of the diamond from Connor Bailey. Owls can taste that regular season title as the 0-1 pitch is fouled back and over for strike number 2. Connor Bailey has the 3rd most walks on the Corndogs after that last start, where he allowed 7 of them. Still top 5 in strikeouts, and all this in 15 innings of work, so extremely active is Bailey on the bump. And with the 0-2 count, won't catch Barnett chasing that one, so make it 1-2 now on the Eskrin College product. Barnett has 8 RBIs on the season and a runner in scoring position right now, as well as Canaday over at first. Bailey deals in the 1-2 pitch, and that one will also be fouled off. So the Owls really doing a good job of battling in their at-bats, refusing to go down. Connor Bailey has to step back up at least one more time against Barnett, who's only batting .219 on the season through 20 games of action. Barnett has a 1-2 count, watches this pitch, and will go chasing. That will get the job done. 2nd out of the inning, 2nd strikeout for Connor Bailey. And that is Barnett's 17th punch out of the season, which sends up number 99, J.D. James. 2 down and 2 runners on. Connor Bailey trying to get out of this thing with no scratches. As J.D. James, the China Grove, North Carolina native, who's batting just a smidge under 300 on the year, pops this one straight back for strike number 1. J.D. James didn't play against Mooresville, nor did he play in... Well, excuse me, he didn't play against Mooresville, but did play in both games against the Corndogs in that doubleheader. The big lefty from Caldwell Community College will chase that one out of the zone as Connor Bailey, keeping the velocity going, 88 miles per hour behind that one. And a 1-1 count now for J.D. James. Williams Rem not looking like a threat to steal over there at second. Bailey still surveying him and dealing this one in, which is going to be lifted up into right center field and will be handled by Miller St. John. So the Owls make a little bit of noise, but ultimately put to rest by Connor Bailey as we enter the bottom of the 8th inning, with the Corndogs having to do something now or never. The Corndogs bringing out the big weapons here as we start off this inning with Tyler Cotto getting his first at-bat of the night in what could potentially be his final game with the Corndogs as college training and other commitments come along. And the first pitch from a new pitcher in the game goes way outside for ball number 1. That pitcher in question is number 24, Noah Moritz, who is not listed as a pitcher, and if you've tuned in for a few Owls games, you know that he's actually the most prolific batter on the squad. Now the lefty is being tasked with putting away the Corndogs, but it won't be happening like that. Cotto gets a leadoff single and only the 4th hit of the night for Queen City.
Now batting number 15, Luke Harris.
Luke Harris now replacing Adam Quintero, wearing number 15, his college jersey tonight from Limestone. Getting his first at-bat of the night. As looks like a pinch runner is going to be put in. Tyler Cotto makes a quick cameo before disappearing and being replaced by Garrett Sanner.
Queen City Corndogs. So let's give a round of applause for number 11, Tyler Cotto.
Yeah, you heard it there. Tyler Cotto makes his final appearance for the Corndogs and gives them a base runner here and a potential comeback effort. Number 15, Luke Harris, now tasked with advancing the Queen City base runner that was put in. Number 2, Garrett Sanner. So, as Cotto picks up that hit, he ends his season ceremoniously with 27 knocks, 25 RBIs, and 6 home runs in about 30-ish games of action. A fantastic season from the Queen's University Royal, and going to be a big loss for the Corndogs come playoff season. But next man up mentality as Harris facing a 1-1 count, fouls one off from Moritz with Garrett Sanner over at first still. Sanner, a lethal base runner, has 10 stolen bases on the season, good for 3rd out of any Queen City player. And now a 1-2 count on number 13, turn number 15, Luke Harris, who rips one over to the... Oh, Sion Barnett is unable to get the play there, and as a cherry on top, Garrett Sanner will scurry out over to 3rd and give runners on the corners to the Corndogs with Caleb Singleton stepping up to the plate.
Now batting, center fielder number 4, Caleb Singleton.
So Sion Barnett threw that one just out of the range of the second base of the shortstop, I believe, Garrett Ladalek, and the error allows Queen City to base 2 for Caleb Singleton, who is 1 of 2 on the evening. Luke Harris at first. Not a huge threat to steal, but more important, having any runner on, opposed to a potential double play that looked like it could have been. Looked like it could have been a simple 5-4-3, but instead the Corndogs have 1-2 on 3 and 1. And Caleb Singleton returns. Was 1 of 3 with a double in his last game against Statesville, but won't bite on that pitch from Moritz as the count moves to 0-1. And Noah Moritz alluded to the fact that he's a talented batter. Well, he leads the Owls in average hits and RBIs. But right there, that one's going to be hit by Singleton and be an RBI by Singleton as he draws the Corndogs within 3. The double right there from the Lander University product is able to get his second double in as many games against the Owls. Coincidentally, after just saying that stat, he does it again and draws the Corndogs a little bit closer with Miller St. John returning to the plate. Singleton now 2 of 3 on the night with that double and a single. Meanwhile, St. John 0 of 1 has been walked as well. 2 runners in scoring position for the Corndogs as Moritz sails that one high for ball number 1. 5-2 game here with no runners out and the tying run at first, but that one is going to be scooped up by Barnett, and the throw will be there to James. A ground out for St. John. Both runners hold at their respective bases and give the Owls a little bit of a cushion.
Number 32, Dave Mosseri.
Dave Mosseri, who is 0 of 2 on the game, trying to make a splash here after he put up a 1 of 4 night against the Regulators last night. And the first pitch he sees is going to hit him right on the thigh. Dave Mosseri doesn't take long to get on base for the second time tonight. And now those bases are loaded with 1 out for Wilson Lohr. Lohr has a single tonight as well as a flyout and a strikeout. The man with the best average out of any Corndog would definitely be of use right now if he could get a hit, which he's no stranger to as he has 27 on the season and counting. Fouls that one back for strike number 1. The lefty from the greater Charlotte area only has 3 RBIs on the campaign due to playing leadoff man, but has 3 runners in scoring position. And did that one hit Lohr? Oh, it looked like it might have hit off the absolute nub of the bat. So now 0-2 on the Southern Wesleyan product. A chance for Moritz to give himself some breathing room. Lohr, the Week 2 Player of the Week in the conference, has the best on-base percentage out of any Corndog, and is able to keep this count alive with the opposite side foul ball. 0-2 once again. There's Dylan Lewis picking up that foul ball, being of help to keep this game going along. He'll step up to the plate after Lohr, pending that no double play occurs. As the 0-2 pitch is in from Moritz and hit, flared into left field, and that's going to drop. Luke Harris will come home, and both runners will hold at their other bases, or at least go 1 base, I should say. Luke Harris tags home, and the bases will be loaded again for Dylan Lewis. That's going to be the 4th RBI of the season for Wilson Lohr, the 28th hit of his campaign. And Moritz, who has been everything for this Owls squad as a batter, looking a little shaky here as a pitcher with only 1 down and the bases loaded yet again. Corndogs have brought this within 2 and will be back after this meeting on the mound. Boy, oh boy, is this an opportunity for the Corndogs. Bases loaded after Wilson Lohr brought in 1 more. And Dylan Lewis takes a swing at the first pitch he sees. That is a high bouncing ball that is going to hit Wilson Lohr. And they're going to rule it interference, I believe, to get Lohr the 2nd out of the inning. Or something, something's being sorted out. A tense silence overcoming the Friar as we're waiting the outcome of this one. And there's going to be a discussion between these 2 umpires trying to figure out how to handle that one. Looked like inadvertent contact from Wilson Lohr. And we're going to see what the final result of this is. Manager Jeff Pluta speaking with those umpires. For the time being, it looks like Wilson Lohr is heading back towards the Corndogs dugout. While Lohr So we're a lot of people talking around,
Just a reminder, fans,
and
please return
we're
all
gonna
balls
see
in
what
30
this outcome
seconds.
is. Sorry for the lack of clarity, as we don't know what clarity there is to be. So it looks like so
Now batting
it
the
looks like
catcher,
Wilson
number
Lore will
24,
be
Harrison Buzolette.
rule. Yeah, they're just not gonna count that run that was driven in. And now the Statesville side is complaining, so we'll just come back when we know what's actually going on. All right, so welcome back, everyone, to what has become a bit of a debacle here in the bottom of the eighth inning. Noah Moritz throws a ball one to Harrison Buzolette. What we're going to say happened is that the interference results in Wilson Lore being ruled as an automatic out and every other runner returning to the nearest base prior to the one that they were on. So 2 down now for Moritz on what was just a wild sequence and a fortunate one for the Owls as Buzolette blares that one into the outfield, but it looks like it's just not going to go far enough, and that's not what happens. Noah Moritz gets out of the jam, and the unfortunate break for the Corndogs sends us to the ninth inning as they draw within 2 of Statesville. Welcome back for the potential final inning of ball between your Queen City Corndogs and the visiting Statesville Owls. New pitcher to get the Corndogs to the bottom of the ninth is number 9, Mason Price. Not normally number 9, as he wears 27 on non-jersey nights, but sporting the Rajon Rondo throwback tonight. And looking to get a quick work of this Owls lineup, starting off with number 6, Drew Parks. First pitch from Price will be low for ball number 1. And Mason Price, with 13 innings under his belt this season, has that one hammered into the outfield, and it's going to be not far enough. That one hung up, and Caleb Singleton is able to track that one down with minimal movement and put one away, setting the table for number 36, Kenny Liner. Mason Price on the season has an 11.77 ERA, the lowest among qualified, or I guess the highest among qualified pitchers. But he has the 5th most pitches on the team. Coach Pluto trusts him despite some struggles at times, and with that pitch low, it's going to bring up a 1-0 count on number 36. That's Liner, the catcher. Mason Price got some action against the Owls earlier on that doubleheader, and that pitch is going to be at the bottom of the zone, just over the plate for strike number 1, evening the count. Price had 2 innings pitched with 4 earned runs on 3 hits, game 2 of that doubleheader, but entered the game with bases loaded. Tough situation to be in, and that was a game that the Owls really were seeing the ball as if it was the size of a volleyball. Liner chops this one, though, over to Nathan Sammy at shortstop, who guns it to first, and a nice throw by Nathan Sammy puts 2 away here. The Corndogs, down 2, have work to do if they get this to the bottom of the 9th with the current score intact. But for the time being, the focus is on the defensive side of the ball. Quick 2 outs for the Owls. Just what Mason Price and this defense want, as the 6'5 lefty and able to let that drop ball find the zone. 1-0 now on number 28, Caleb Gant. Gant, the outfielder, who bats .242 on the season. Watches another one go outside from Mason Price. Mason Price has 11 strikeouts on the season, 22 walks. And the Charlotte native has a 2-0 count here. That is going to be fouled opposite side for strike number 1. Statesville looking to win the regular season of the SCBL and put themselves in a position that they can get that number 1 seed for the playoffs. But instead, that pitch is going to go way awry on Mason Price and bring up a 3-1 mark. They're saying that it hit Gant's ankle. Much to the displeasure of the Corndogs faithful, saying that that was a weak call. And now manager Jeff Pluta is having a conversation with the umpire. A 3-1 count was the call, and instead they're going to say that it was a hit by pitch. So runner on is Caleb Gant, who has 2 steals on the season. Not a huge threat over there on first. Still 1 nonetheless. Mason Price can look him down, though, as he is a lefty. The 6'5", 215-pounder from Pitt CC has that one fouled off. Oh, they're going to rule it fair. Oh, no, they're not. The ups and downs, the seesaw of emotions of SCBL baseball on full display here, as they're going to rule that CP Pyle opposite field hit a foul ball. Maybe a makeup call of sorts for the Corndogs, or even if it wasn't intended to be that, that could be the case. So an 0-1 pitch coming up. And that one will drop below the plate for ball number 1, evening up the mark on CP Pyle, the center fielder tonight, making his 14th appearance, and went 0-2 in Game 1 against Queen City in that doubleheader, which seems like an eon ago now after this game has been high-tempered really throughout the latter portion of it. Some controversial calls, some back and forth between the fans and the umpire and the managers, as that one will be fouled off to even the count at 2. Mason Price just 1 pitch away, 1 strike away from bringing us to the bottom of the ninth. Price taking his time on the bump. Facing CP Pyle, who has a 217 average on the season, and that one is just going to be outside. Great location, but CP Pyle able to refrain from chasing and will bring up a full count. Pivotal moment in this one, as CP Pyle and Jack Weaver, the next man on deck, are the two bottom batters of the order for the Statesville Owls. And the full count is going to be a looking ball, for ball number 4, which sends Pyle over to first and sends number 3, Jack Weaver, up to the plate.
Second baseman number 3, Jack Weaver.
2 runners on now for the Owls with 2 down, and Jack Weaver looking to keep this inning alive. The sophomore from Salisbury, North Carolina. Only 1 of 16 heading into this game. Hasn't found much more success here today, but takes that pitch high for ball number 1. Jack Weaver is a 5'8", 165-pound sophomore from Surrey Community College. He was 1 of 3 with a 2 RBI single against the Corndogs and hits this one over. And an error is going to be made. Oh my goodness. Dave Mosry on a routine ground ball is unable to scoop that one up. And now the bases are loaded after all he had to do was tag third. And now the Corndogs have had the air flattened out of this place, with number 26, Isaiah Williams-Rem, the leadoff man, who has already made some big plays at the plate tonight. Returning for a bases-loaded situation with 2 batters down, Mays and Price looking to hold the fort and barely avoids hitting Williams-Rem right there. This game, as intense as any we've seen between the Corndogs and an SCBL opponent this year, as the pitch is going to be inside for strike number 1. Mays and Price trying to carry the Corndogs to the bottom of the 9th. A difficult situation, as that last hit wasn't really Price's fault, and the 1-1 count is going to go low. Price, who leads the Corndogs with 22 walks on the season, has to do everything in his power to avoid finding another one here, as the 2-1 pitch is going to be hit for a foul ball right behind the stands into the forest. And once again, a strike, and we are in the bottom of the 9th. Queen City looking to move back to 500 on the season in the SCBL, as the lefty Price dishes this one in, and that will do it! Looking strikeout from Mason Price brings us to the bottom of the 9th, with the Corndogs down 2, looking to pull a miracle here at the Friar. The Corndogs down 2 here in the bottom of the 9th. And Nathan Sammy leading things off for Queen City. New pitcher in the game to try to close things out for the Owls is Alec Yunt, who is normally a batter for this Statesville side, but looks like a pitcher right now with an 0-2 count on Nathan Sammy. Sammy is 0 of 3 on the night, trying to make some noise here and help the Corndogs be in a position to win, as he keeps the count alive with that foul ball. Alec Yunt at the bump, a righty from Catawba Valley Community College, near his hometown of Catawba, North Carolina. Has played 18 games as a hitter and uses an 0-2 count to his advantage and gets a strikeout. 1 down and 2 more to go if the Owls try to secure the SCBL regular season title. Now, after Sammy strikes out for the second time tonight, Will Budnick, who is 0 of 3 on the game, returns to the plate. Going up against Alec Yunt. Budnick, who bats just below 300 on the season, will not take a swing at that one. High above the zone for ball number 1. And the 1-0 pitch is going to be high once again. As with 1 down, no on, Corndogs trying to spark a rally, and it will not be right there, as quick 2 down for Alec Yunt, with Will Budnick now going to 0-4 on the night with the ground out. And the hopes of this game lie in the bat of Garrett Sanner. Garrett Sanner was pinch hitting for Tyler Cotto, who was pinch hitting for someone else. At this point, we've lost track of the entire lineup with all these substitutions being made left and right. Doesn't matter. What matters is the man at the box right now, and that's Garrett Sanner, who takes the first pitch and fouls it back and over the foul net for strike number 1. Sanner on the season is .250 with 18 hits and 5 RBIs, as that pitch is going to be just inside for ball number 1. Even count now for Yunt, who was 0-3 against Mooresville with an RBI as a hitter last time out. And that one will be fouled off by Garrett Sanner. Makes it a 1-2 mark on the Lenore-Rhine Bear, and Alec Yunt can close the door on this Corndog squad and secure his Owls a SCBL regular season title with 1 more strike. Won't come there, though, as Garrett Sanner, with a good eye, refrains from swinging at that one, and a 2-2 count now on Sanner, who was 0 of 2 against Concord. And those two teams played on Monday, as the 2-2 pitch is over the head of the catcher, bringing up a full count. Luke Harris is on deck for the Corndogs if they're able to get there. But right now, you gotta just take it 1 pitch at a time. Yunt trying to seal the deal here with a 3-2 count. 2 runners down, and the pitch is going to be fouled back. Garrett Sanner battling for the time being. And a quick break while get some baseballs into the umpire, and promptly back to Yunt on the bump. The Corndogs have only scored 7 runs over their last 3 games, trying to pick up a miraculous win here, but instead, Garrett Sanner strikes out, and the SCBL regular season title goes to the Statesville Owls, who will be the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Meanwhile, the Corndogs fall below 500 by 2 games in the SCBL, 12-13 on the year in the conference, before an out-of-conference game tomorrow night right here against the Hendersonville Honeycrisps. That game will certainly be a bit more fun and low stakes than this one before a road game on Friday versus Lake Norman. Not the result the Corndogs wanted, but they lose this one 3-5 before 2 more games in their regular season. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Jonah